Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rakhma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you, and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. We did some testing on the switchboard yesterday after the show, and one of the things that we've come up with is that possibly if you're pressing 1 before the message completes, everybody knows that you dial the number and then press 1, and so perhaps you're jumping in and pressing it before that message finishes. So if you'll wait until after it finishes saying press 1 to go into queue to talk to the host, then press it, and then hopefully that will eliminate some of the issues of not seeing your hands go up when you're in the chat room or in the switchboard. So we welcome you to the show. Today is our Memorial Day celebration 345, and Michael will talk a little more about that here in a few moments. We're sitting here at Jacksonville Beach, and it rained a few minutes ago, but now it's clearing up. It looks really pretty. So if you're on the switchboard and you want to talk to Michael, press 1, and we'll see if your hands go up. And welcome to the show. Hi, Michael.
Hey, sweetie. Delighted to have you here. Thanks for being on the show, everybody. We are getting a little bit of what in Hawaii they call pineapple juice, just this light mist of rain. I guess in Florida, as Jeanie just said to me, it's probably called orange juice instead of pineapple juice, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's warm and a little cloudy, but and a little bit of rain, but still a nice time to be on the beach. So we have that difficult job of here we are in Jacksonville, Florida, and we have to go to the beach every day to do the radio show in order to get an internet connection. So what can I say? That's just the way it is for today. We'll tough it out, and we'll see if we can come out the other side all right. And other than that, somebody in the background here, we're at a Quality Inn, and somebody's baking cookies, and they smell just awesome, and we got to go steal some somehow or something. But anyway, we're glad that you're with us, and our show today, as usual, has a theme, and our theme is a request. And the request is that you be willing to assist us in changing the dynamic of war on planet Earth, a dynamic that seems ridiculous and impossible to do. But the truth is, not impossible at all. Here's the plan, and we're going to ask you to join us in it. If you've got somebody in your life that you're blaming for, and how do we know you're blaming them? You say, I'm hurting, and your conversation's all about them. That's called blame. That's called denial. That's how you hide parts of your mind that need healing from yourself. And so we invite you to own these parts of your mind and bring them forward for healing. The process of forgiveness, as it was taught in the ancient Aramaic 2,000 years ago, is how to do that. Our culture teaches us that forgiveness is about letting somebody else off the hook for what's going on inside of us, but that's not forgiveness at all. That's pardoning, nice thing to do, but nothing to do with forgiveness. We're going to ask you to actually engage in the forgiveness process. That is, you go inside yourself, you take responsibility, you remove all forms of hostility or fear, and come to the point where you function as a true, fully human being. And in order, of course, to do that, you've got to know what a human is. What is a human being? Hold a newborn child, you know exactly what a human being is. So we invite you to hold a newborn, really get in touch with what your essence is, and choose to live as that. when we get enough people through the gate who will live as that newborn essence, who throws out everything else based in any form of hostility or fear, then we're going to see a shift on planet Earth in the dynamic of what's going on. So that's what we're here to support you in, and we invite you to participate in the process. If you are not familiar with how the forgiveness process works, we invite you to go to the right-hand side of the website, and there's a link that says download worksheets. We're going to invite you to download the first 7 links. The first one is chapter 24 of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Goes into the why and how of the forgiveness process. The second is a link to the actual worksheet itself, the latest version of the worksheet. The third link, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th are each radio shows where we have brought forward the Aramaic process of forgiveness in a set of instructions working with somebody on the show with the forgiveness process. So we invite you to join us in that process, and while we do that, Jeanie has a caller for us. So let's check in with our caller.
Area code 970. You're on the air.
How are you today?
Hey, we are very well. How are you, Carrie?
Awesome. At least the sun came out today, and it's not snowing again. We got over that yesterday, thank goodness.
Oh, good.
But I just wanted to share. I have a couple of questions for you and a couple of thoughts to share, where I'm getting to see some things progress, which is really exciting. One is I ended up in a discussion with some other people on vegetarianism and how Einstein became a vegetarian at the end of his life, and he said that would assist humans in becoming more nonviolent. And a friend of mine was arguing with me strongly that she didn't agree with that being an option, and being a result of people becoming vegetarian. And she said, and he only became one at the end of his life, so it doesn't really tell us much. But I was curious what your thoughts on that are.
As he got older. It tells us he got wise as he got older.
Yeah.
For sure.
I know for myself I love the idea of not having to kill animals in order to eat, and it seems to change something inside of me. And, of course, Gandhi leaned that direction. He was vegetarian and kind of taught that as part of nonviolence. But
well, if you think about, killing the animals is one thing. If all we were doing in this culture was killing animals to eat them, that would be nothing compared to the torturing of the animals that we do before we kill them. And all you have to do is have a half a thought to look into. You torture an animal, it creates tremendous disorder within the animal, and then you take that energetic disorder into your body when you eat it. Jeanie was born and raised on a farm, and her grandparents knew if they were going to, they raised their own food. They raised pigs and cattle and all of that, and they knew that if you didn't get that pig dead with the first shot, and the pig didn't know you were coming, you might as well throw that thing out in the field and let it rot because it's not fit for food. Once the animal knows that it's going to be killed, it's not fit for food. And so, when you become aware of that, it becomes pretty clear that we better start waking up. And then on the vegetarian front, there's always been this huge argument. Are we designed to be meat eaters? Are we designed to be vegetarians? And I think there's a very easy resolution to that question, and that is all you have to do is look at the structure of your form. Function follows form. If you look at the structure of your form, if you look at the structure of a Volkswagen, the Volkswagen is not going to enter the Indy 500 and win it. Its form does not function that way. If you look at the form of every animal that is naturally primarily vegetarian, feeds off of non-living animal products, you'll find that our form is precisely the same as theirs. If you look at the carnivorous form has a set of teeth. First of all, I've never met anybody that would enjoy running down a cow and tearing its throat out with its teeth, nor have I met anybody that has the capability of doing that. First of all, you couldn't run the cow down. You might be able to trick it, and catch up with it. But then I want to see a human being knock a cow over and then tear its throat out like a lion would with its teeth. It's not going to happen. Its form does not follow that function. And so if you look at the tooth structure, you see the carnivores have one tooth structure. Carnivores don't have any grinding teeth. The reason is because they take a chunk of flesh whole, they drop it into a very short digestive system with a very high hydrochloric acid content, and within just a few hours, that the leftovers of that carcass, whatever the waste product is out of that body, out of that 98.6 degree temperature that's warm and moist and dark. And when you look at the human form, it is a grinding set of teeth, which obviously the form follows function. It was meant to grind things, not chunk them off in pieces and swallow them whole. It drops into a mild acid bath, even if it even needs an acid bath. If you're eating actual food the way it was designed to be eaten, as much as 70 to 80% of the digestion takes place in the upper part of the stomach, which is an alkaline environment where the food enzymes that are in the food naturally digest it. So when you drop meat into that acid bath and you get people who are eating nothing but meat, you've got a digestive system that's low hydrochloric acid. In other words, it's a slow burn. A heavy meat-based meal can take as much as 8 to 10 to 12 hours to digest. You know, take a chunk of meat and put it and grind it up really fine and put it in a 98.6 degree warm, moist environment for 8 to 10 hours. And that's just to go through the stomach. That's just to get out of the stomach. And then you've got a digestive tract in the human as well as the other naturally vegetarian animals that is 8 to 12 times the length of the body. The carnivores 3 to 4 times. Now, my input to people is if it smells like something crawled up inside of you and died, it's because it did. And it's not. We're not designed to be a septic tank. We're not designed for rot to occur. We're designed for digestion and elimination, as is the carnivore. The carnivore doesn't need a lot of bulk to move food through it like the vegetarian-based animal does. It has a short digestive tract. It eats a chunk of meat, and it's out of the body in hours, a few hours. A human, if you've got a human meat eater, I've worked with people over the years where they eat primarily meat-based foods, and their bowels may move once every 5, 6, or 7 days. And some doctors actually consider that normal for a human being. Well, pardon me, I guess they consider it normal, and it is normal for some people, but it's certainly not natural. If our structure is functioning properly as a human digestive system is designed to function, we'll have a bowel movement within an hour to 2 hours after eating a meal. And there's a human meal, a meal that humans would naturally eat, is filled with all kinds of bulk and all kinds of nutrients that you can't get from meat. And so the moving of that bulk through the system causes the bowel to move, and probably an ideal transition time is somewhere between 16 and 18 hours from the time it enters the mouth to the time when the waste or the leftover products leave the anus. And 7, 8 days in there is pretty dastardly to the system. So to me, it's a pretty easy thing to understand if you just look at the form. And I know you've worked in the area of natural health for better than a quarter of a century. How does that information fit for you?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say I'm 100% in agreement with it. And I think the nonviolence part was the part of the association to vegetarianism that I was kind of looking for insight on. And even though that's my belief, that it does make us less violent to be, I just think when our bodies are cleaner, it's easier to have less stress and be, have kind of have peace in our nervous system. And and I totally agree on the physiology. Absolutely. I mean, I've been a vegetarian for 40 plus years, so predominantly. Well, let me toss out at you having some really exciting results with friends with sharing this work, the forgiveness work and the ancient Aramaic process. I was in a relationship the last few years that transitioned last spring, but in that transition, there was an incredible amount of power person dynamic that got activated between myself and the other person and even a couple of people in the periphery. And those power person dynamics, we didn't have the tools at the time to know how to resolve those. And I'm so grateful for what I've learned from this work over the last few months that have taught me what was really going on and how to begin clearing that. And I have read the commitments both to the other people and to myself many, many, many days of the last 6 months, 8 months, year. And I'm starting to see people now. I am no longer even living in the same town with the person that I was in relationship with, but there are other people in a very close inner circle to both of us in the periphery who are now starting to do this work as a result of communicating with me. And I'm starting to see, for instance, one friend she's struggled with her health and her wealth, and I just said to her, you need to start doing some of these ancient Aramaic forgiveness worksheets and start shifting those crystals inside yourself. And she understands energy, and she started doing 2 or 3 a day. And she called me this morning, this is just after a couple of weeks, telling me how there's this deal that's happening that's bringing income to herself and her husband, and she's feeling better physically. Just changes are happening in amazing ways, in very large ways in her life, just as a result of doing the worksheets. And I even sent her an iPod with 6 months of the radio shows on it for her to start listening to. So, and she just called me this morning and she said, I get it. I totally get it. And she said, I'm seeing so many changes happening so fast because of, and what's really exciting to me also is she's in the periphery of this same group of people that I initially had, ended up being in power person dynamics with that never got resolved. And so they weren't really open to listening to me as a result, to share these tools and how they work. But this is a person who could share them at some point. And so it's amazing how things start happening when you're doing the work and then you read the commitments. And I think listening to those radio shows has been huge. I have another person in the same community who's also in the very close periphery who's listening to the radio shows. I sent them to her on a flash drive, and she's been listening to them on a daily basis, and she's just calling me up saying, oh, my gosh, this is amazing. Because listening to those radio shows, I think, really helps begin shifting that, 10,000 generations of wrong thinking, helping us begin really, it's kind of a repetition thing that really begins shifting those molecules and the neurobiology of even understanding. It seems like doing this work really is beyond the logical mind, but there's something at a very deep level. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Deep inner level that starts shifting. So.
Well, and the forgiveness process, as it was taught in the Aramaic, what the genius of it is that, of course, the whole system is when we go into denial, we dissociate from a part of our minds. We hide that part of our minds from ourselves. And once it's hidden, it's like putting something in your computer with a password and then forgetting the password. You can't access it. You can't change it. You can want it to change. You can hope it will change. You can wish it will change. You can affirm it will change. You can pray that it will change. It's not going to change until you have a keyway and the password to get into that part of the mind. And the genius of Yeshua putting this together, that the canceling of the goal is the keyway, and the canceling of the goal, which is the essence of the forgiveness process, collapses the projection from the dissociated part of the mind and puts us back into direct relationship with that part of the mind, however old it is. I was sharing yesterday on the show, we had received a call from a woman who'd been working for about 2 years on some major relationship issues, and I mean really working. She's been doing 5 worksheets a day for over 2 years to get to the root of this issue, which was a major issue between she and her husband. And she called me yesterday, or the day before yesterday, just so excited because she got in touch with finally being a very small child, like an infant, and when she would cry, her mother was so frustrated she didn't know what to do, and she would slam her into the mattress. And as a child, she got back in touch with this dissociated thinking of, I have to do my life on my own, and it's not safe. And when she got in touch with that and was able to cancel the goal involved and forgive, she just had this total physical infilling of love. She was just flooded on a cellular level with the presence of love, which my offering is that's how we humans are designed to live, is with that infilling of love. She had that experience, and that day was able, for the first time in several years, her husband wanted to play footsie in relationship and be with other women and make that okay with her, and she just was in so much pain and trauma over it. But all of a sudden, when she got in touch with this memory through the forgiveness process, and a significant amount of work to do, it's pretty deep stuff, she got to the point where she, for the first time, was able to have a decent conversation with her husband, and he was able to be there for her. She didn't have this, Yeshua talks about a house divided against itself. And when on one level in our heads we're saying, well, I want you to be here to support me, but on another level I think you're the problem in my life, and I need to send you away, it makes for a very conflicted life. And so now she's congruent in her messages, and the message is it's safe to be here for me and I deserve support. And all of a sudden, instead of rage in response to her questions and her conversation, her husband's able to be there. They're able to have a decent conversation and to resolve some of these issues that have been going on for years. So it's such genius that Yeshua took this and worked it through and opened it up. It's just awesome. And if anybody's listening to the show and you're not sure what we're talking about, you can go to www.whyagain.com, and on the right-hand side you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. Click that link. It's about 6 links down. Click that link, and as you click on that link, it will take you to a whole series of links, the first 7 of which relate to this part of our conversation. There are several other worksheets or a lot of other tools under that link, but the first 7 are all about the forgiveness process, the reality management worksheet, and there are several radio shows where we walk somebody through step-by-step instructions for how to collapse the output of the mind and to get back in touch with that dissociated part and clean it up. And it's just awesome. I mean, it's just to watch the stories we get to hear every day are just fabulous. So I'm glad you're spreading it around the community and making it available to others. And we're going to definitely plan on getting out Colorado way on our tour this next tour.
That's exciting.
So
I just want to say one more before I hang up, just to say thank you so much for persevering with this work. And yes, I've done so much processing over the years and worked with really amazing, awesome tools, and yet nothing has really worked like the key in the lock, like it does. And it is that it's like a password to.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
The old thing.
It's totally intellectually illogical until you understand how the mind works, and of course that's the whole essence of the workshop. Why is this happening to me again? To show how that works and how the forgiveness process. And I've been working with that tool from the Aramaic for over 25 years. Been doing this work for almost 45 years, and I feel like the last maybe 2 to 3 years I'm finally starting to understand how to really teach it. So I'm feeling blessed by that. Well, we've got a couple of other callers. Carrie, thank you for your call. Anybody who wants to touch into Carrie's work, you can go to her website, carrieellis.com, and you can find her book, Super Immunity Secrets, which has some awesome recipes doing things that you have in your cupboard but perhaps never thought of using for building your immune system. Carrie will tell you how to do that in her book, Super Immunity Secrets. We'll hold you in the blessing, Carrie. Thanks for the call. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Jeanie, you've got another caller?
Yes, and we actually have 3 callers on hold, so it looks like the switchboard's working today. So you all just hang in there. We'll get to you one at a time. I did want to comment. There was some conversation going on in the chat room after you were talking about eating meat or eating vegetables, and they were asking about protein. And so threw in there that beans and nuts and grains, I'm getting an echo here. Beans and nuts and grains are a good source of protein, and that according to the Institute of Medicine, that the recommendation for a 170-pound body person is only 2.18 ounces of protein per day. And I said, there are very few people who are consuming only a 2-ounce steak. But then I went on to say that meat and dairy both are amino acids, and that our bodies are to be alkaline, not acidic. And just things like cancer, it grows in an acid state, not an alkaline state. And look at how much cancer is rampant in the United States today.
And at the same time, if you think about it, people, there's a big sales pitch. There are two businesses that together spend $50 billion a year to tell you what to put in your mouth. That's the food and the pharmaceutical industry, $50 billion a year. And, of course, Jerry Maguire said it very well, show me the money. And it's all about the money. What's the high profit item? What's the high price item? It's dairy and it's meat. But if you look at the places on the planet where there are the highest levels of osteoporosis, guess what? It's the places where the most dairy and meat is consumed. They're amino acids. When you become acidic, your body has to provide some kind of a balancer. The balancer is the calcium, which is an alkaline mineral that's sucked out of the bones and sucked out of the teeth in order to try to balance out the amino acids that are eaten. And so when you think about, for instance, a cow, you take a baby calf, I don't know, what's a baby calf weigh, 150 pounds at birth, and a year later, eating nothing but its mother's milk, and it's perfect food for baby calves, it's lousy food for humans. That cow eating nothing but its mother's milk and grass builds 2,000 pounds of mostly muscle in less than a year. They say you need all that protein to keep your muscle mass. Excuse me, go out and join the cow and eat grass. And people say, well, yeah, but the cow has 3 stomachs. Well, if you count a stomach as a place where a certain type of digestion takes place, and each different type of digestion being a different stomach, you've got 5 of them. Not something we're going to particularly go into, but we'll just invite you to look at that dynamic. And, that $50 billion, if it didn't take a brainwash to force us to eat that stuff and pay the high prices for it, they wouldn't. If it were really that good for us, everybody'd be doing it. But you notice it's put in front of you every day, every day, every day, every day. Eat more dead flesh. Eat more decaying food. Decay creates decay. Life produces life. It's a pretty simple equation. Put something live in your mouth every day. Now, if you feel good about going out and tearing out that cow's throat and eating that live cow, hey, have at it. But if you don't, try an apple. Try a banana. Try a Caesar salad. Try something that is real food. Speaking of real food, we're going to be doing, starting on July the 12th, at Heartland, our opening session will be a work session. And what we do in our work sessions is a certain amount of projects around the property to get it ready for intensives. But we'll be doing a thing called Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work Projects. And that 10-day workshop's an economy program. And in that 10 days, Chef Ari from Chicago is going to come and be at Heartland. And I'm hoping that Ari will be on the show with us on Friday to answer questions about food. So if you have any questions for Ari, I haven't heard back from him, but I'm hoping that he'll be able to be with us on Friday. And so he'll be bringing some new recipes, both cooked and raw, to Heartland to work with us in the kitchen. And then in the evenings, we'll do classes, and the rest of the day we'll have some time for playtime and also for work projects where we'll be fixing things up and getting ready for the intensive season. So the schedule for that is on our website. As I say, it's an economy program. The whole 10 days, workshops, we'll do at least 2 mind shifters and still point breathing sessions in that 10 days. And the whole program is going to be $750 for everything. Food, awesome gourmet vegetarian food, accommodations, workshop materials, everything. So come and join us for that. Immediately following that, that's going to be from the 12th to the 21st. And then on the 20, I believe it's the 23rd, we'll start a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive. And then that will be followed up by a 9-day teacher training. The two together make a 17-day workshop if you want to deepen your experience of the forgiveness process, or you simply want to, or you want to teach the work. We'll be doing teachers training. It's a 17-day workshop that will start in July. So come and join us. If you've done an intensive previously, we're for the first time, we're trying to inspire people to come join us at Heartland. When we're on the road traveling, our intensives fill up with almost zero effort, but it seems that since the economy crashed, I don't know whether it's the insecurity of being away from home or the cost of travel or what, but people just are not traveling. And so the last 3 or 4 years, Heartland's been pretty on the short end of the stick. So we're going to offer a review price of 1/2. If you've done a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, you come to the July 9-day Why Again workshop for half of the normal fee. And the 9-day intensive is $1,575, so it'll be half of that if you're going to come and review it. The same with teachers training. There's an opportunity to do it for half of the normal fee. And or if you register for the Food Fund Forgiveness, you can do, if you've done teachers training before, you can do it for a third. So you can do the Why intensive and the teachers training for a third of the normal registration fee. So we're doing that to encourage people to come and play with us this summer, and we'd be delighted to have you with us. And Jeanie, you have another caller for us?
Yes, we actually have 4 callers hanging out there. So the first one is
Let's go for it.
517. You're on the air.
Hi, Michael.
517.
Hello?
Welcome to the show. Hey.
Hi, this is Tony. Hi, Jeanie.
Hey, Tony. How are you, sir?
Good. Good.
Awesome. How can we support you today?
Oh, I would like some support with mind goal management worksheets.
Right.
We, in our support group, just recently watched Getting the Stress You Need
right.
presentation that you give, and I've picked up working on the mind goal management sheets, and one thing that was really insightful for me was your differentiation of planning and goal making, and
yes.
That was a huge piece for me. It really brought up a lot of stuff, and it was great.
Yeah, to build the brain cells for the difference there is absolutely huge, because we live in a culture that says set goals, set goals, set goals, set goals, and of course you set goals to a certain limit, and all of a sudden the whole system crashes, and people wonder why they procrastinate. It's because they've overloaded their mind with goals.
Right. So the question that I have, how does the worksheet work? I mean, you're setting your goals on a daily basis. So let's say I have a plan for becoming debt free. Now, how does that work for like a daily goal setting?
Okay, well, what that might look like, a plan for becoming debt-free, and I might say, well, with my income range and my indebtedness, it's going to take me a year. So I have a 1-year plan. Now, I can't do, anything about what's going on 364 days from now, the day before I complete my becoming debt-free. So I'm not going to set that as a goal, because if I do, every time I set a goal, I create a stress. And when I overload my system with stress, my system begins to break down. Few people would recognize that in the ancient Aramaic, when the Greeks told us Yeshua said, sufficient for the day are the evils thereof, was that what he was saying was, don't set goals for any more than the next waking period. So is there something I can do tomorrow about this plan that I have? Well, yes. There's a debt counseling service that I know opens at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and they offer free counseling sessions. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's late at night. I start the worksheet, and I, first of all, cancel all my goals from the day. Every time you set a goal, you create a stress. So I'm going to start out getting ready for bed by canceling my goals, because I don't need any stress to sleep on. And then I'm going to frame my goal for tomorrow, or my goals, and only what I can reasonably achieve tomorrow. So in order to achieve my plan of being debt-free in a year, tomorrow I'm going to set the appointment up to be with the counseling service. And so tonight I'm going to frame that goal. And if you look at the sheet, and for anybody who wants to take a look, if you're on the computer, you can go to the download worksheet section and just look down the list and you'll see the Mind Goal Management sheet. You can download it from whyagain.com. So I'm going to look at the what, why, how, and when of framing that goal tonight. I'm not going to set it yet. I'm only going to frame the goal. So what would be, I'm going to set the appointment for the debt counseling service. The how would be, at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm going to be the first person on the phone and see how early an appointment I can get. So that's the how. I'm going to get on the phone and call them. The when is 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And so once I lay that goal out, I'm then going to do some connected breathing. I'm going to do some high inspirational reading. I'm going to ask for guidance around the goal that I have framed. Now, until I commit myself to that goal, until I say, I'm going to do this, I have not set the goal. I've only framed it. So there's a section on that worksheet for framing a goal. And then in the morning when I get up, I'm going to kind of check that goal out. Is that something I still really want to do? Yes. Is it something that's in harmony with my purpose? Yes. Is it a goal that I still like after I've slept on it for the night? Well, while I was sleeping in my sleep, I had this intuition. I had this guidance that said there was actually another service that would be much better for me. So actually I'm going to adjust the framing of that goal, and instead of calling the ABC service, I'm going to call the XYZ service and see what their service is like. And so I may shift that around, and then once I've got that all in line, then I'm going to set my goal. I'm going to commit with emotion to the achievement of this goal. Now, once I commit to that achievement, I have set a goal, and I've created a stress. Now, the functioning purpose of my mind is to show me how to alleviate that stress. Well, gee, how am I going to do that? I didn't even know there was an XYZ counseling service for debt relief. But, okay, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to look in the phone book, or I'm going to get on the Internet and look up, or I'm going to pick up my Android phone and I'm going to push the speak button and I'm going to say XYZ counseling service phone number. I'm going to find the number. I'm going to call them. So my mind is creating stress and giving me behaviors with which to alleviate that stress. And that's why it's called the Mind Goal Management Sheet, and the workshop is called Getting the Stress You Need. Because as you see what your purpose is for the day, you want to make sure your goals are on purpose. That ties in with another workshop we do called Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment. And it's when we align with our purpose and our goals that we create personal power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes very good sense.
Yeah. Cool.
I guess the place where I get the most confused, though, is in the framing of the goals, because I have, many different goals that could get me to a certain place, and it becomes this thing of trying to decide which is the best to do. But you just hearing you. No, go on.
If there's confusion around it, then what I'd do then is I'd switch from the Mind Goal Management Sheet to the worksheet process.
Right.
And I'd look at, around this idea of debt, I'd probably make myself the object of attention of the worksheet, so I'd put my name in number 1A, and I have confusion around resolving my debt. How do I feel? Oh, geez, kind of hopeless. What's my thought? My family system's always been in debt. I don't think I'll ever be debt-free. And I go down and look at the goal. What's the goal I hold for myself? Well, I want to be, in abundance and debt-free. So then in number 4, I'm going to set love. I'm going to activate, make sure I've got love powerfully present, and I'm going to cancel my goal to be debt-free. I'm going to cancel my goal to be abundant. And I'm going to invite that Rukudakucha, that elemental force in me, to go to work and help me to let loose of my confusion around debt. So what you're telling me is that one of the reasons probably why debt's a challenge to you is because there's some conflicting ideas about debt and money in your mind. And so the reality management worksheet would be where I'd go to create some resolution in that regard and get more clarity on exactly the direction I want to go and to look at why I've put myself in debt in the first place.
Right. Yeah, that is the power of the tools that you give. Is that, I mean, I've on several occasions over the past week or so, I've thought of giving you a call, but usually in the morning when I have some confusion around something, I do a bunch of worksheets and I no longer have the question.
Cool. Well, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's what we're here to support you in, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for your call. Blessings. Have a good one.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Jeanie, you've got another caller for us?
Yes, we do. And so the next caller is area code 786. You're on the air.
786. Welcome to the show.
Hello, greetings, Michael and Jeanie. This is Julio calling from Miami.
Hi there, young man. We're going to see you next week.
Yes.
Glad to hear your voice.
Glad to hear
yeah,
yours.
we're actually planning on I'm actually working on an email to send out to everybody and a place to get together on Tuesday night, hopefully, to talk about support groups and such in the whole South Florida area.
Wow, looking forward to that. We certainly need to get organized.
Cool.
I've been listening to your radio show today, and I was moved to call regarding the food that we eat and all that. And a perfect example of eating the right foods during the last 4 months since I attended your workshops down in Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
And I've been practicing a raw vegan diet, and I can honestly say that it's making my life so much more enjoyable in every area of my life. That is, I'm full of energy and optimism. I'm happy. I'm not stressing. I'm certainly not violent. Violent is something that I never thought that I was, but yes, I had aggressive tendencies and reactions, which I find are totally, gone at this moment. Of course, you know that I've been working a lot. I went to your intensive up in Palm Coast, and that was certainly a life-changing experience. And I have gotten into the habit of working doing the worksheets every day. I do at least 3, 5, 6, whatever, but at least 3 every day. And and Michael, all of these things that have been plaguing me and concerning me, I feel are shifting. I'm getting clear, and I'm getting results, and I'm getting answers to problem areas in my life.
Fabulous. And you've trimmed your form a little bit since you shifted over to that vegan diet, right?
Yes, to this day, in exactly 3 months since I've been doing the diet, I've lost 48 pounds. 48 pounds today. 3 months.
3 months.
It's been three months since I started the diet. So it's wonderful, and I've invested. I've invested some money also to buy some of these machines to produce this food. So I'm learning how to do this cooking and the raw cooking and all of that. I'm really psyched,
Cool. Well, at Heartland, we don't call them cooks; we call them cuts.
Okay.
But that's fabulous, 48 pounds in 3 months, and you're eating well, right? You're eating plenty and you're eating well, and you're probably getting 4 times as much nutrition as you ever were getting eating the dead animal routine.
Oh, I have to be because I feel so great. I've eliminated. I was being plagued with leg pains. Pains in my legs. Was not getting enough circulation and packing all those pounds in my frame. The pain is totally gone from my legs. I'm able to move around and get accomplished what I need to accomplish, and I'm energetic because of that.
Now, what kind of pills are you taking? What kind of pills are you taking for that leg pain?
Nothing. I used to live on Advil. I haven't had an Advil in a while, Michael.
Good for you. That's awesome, sir.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I also want to attribute my mental clarity to this diet. If I didn't have the mental clarity that I'm getting, I don't know that I would be doing this, the Aramaic forgiveness process, because you need the clarity that this diet provides, to do it. I was hooked on sugar and all the stuff that I was eating, and my mood swings and the sugar crashes that I was experiencing was not producing anything in my life, and I mean literally. My life was vegetative in a way, and all of those sensations and feelings are gone. I'm a new person.
Well, and if you look, you've just told the whole story of why most people are terrified of getting old, and they have no idea they're doing it to themselves. Well, you get old, your legs get sore, you can't move, it hurts, and that's all a fraud. That's not a natural way to function. If we're functioning in a natural way, we're alive, we're awake, we're enthusiastic, we feel good, and we do that until, if we choose to at some point, drop the body. 80, 90, 100 years old. People can be just as energetic and just as empowered in learning and as bright and as capable as anybody else. In fact, improving with age is the idea as opposed to degenerating. But, of course, the culture, there's a lot of money in selling people different ideas than that one.
Mm-hmm. I totally that. One of my projects is to get my parents involved in thinking this way. As you know, I work with them, so I'm blessed to have them near me all the time, and I can contribute to their well-being by getting them to eat this food. And they're not far from it. They eat very well, actually. They consume a whole lot of vegetables and all that. They just need to take it a step further. My dad is a diabetic, and my mother suffers from osteoporosis, and I think that I can help them this way.
You sure can. Absolutely, sir.
Yeah.
And be aware that, there's an old saying in people who work in dietary work with people is that many people will change their religions before they'll change their diets. So, just be careful you keep your head attached as you introduce those ideas, because you can become the object of some upset if you start taking away people's comfort foods, because a lot of times the foods they're eating are, and the fact that you're doing the forgiveness process hand in hand with the dietary change, because if you weren't and you stopped drugging yourself with sugar, up would be coming that rage, that anger, that pain, that fear, whatever it is, and you're putting the forgiveness process hand in hand with that so that you can process through those things. So just be aware that you're asking people, when you change to an actual diet that's designed for humans, to stop drugging themselves. And people do go through a lot when they stop drugging themselves. And
I realize
that, and
for
your courage.
Reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. I don't plan to force them on them, force this diet on them or anything like that. But they're already experiencing some of the foods that I bring in and share with them and all that, and they really like it. So,
awesome.
They're receptive at least. They're
very cool.
So it's great, Michael. Yeah.
All right, sir. Well, we appreciate you. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. You'll get an email from me the next day or so.
Thank you. Blessings to you both. to everybody out there doing wonderful work. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Lots of love. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye, Jim.
That's awesome.
Area code 954, you're on the air.
954, who we got? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my heart family. This is Nene.
Why, it's Nene Ortega. How are you, young lady?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Wonderful. I was thinking about you the other day as we were driving past the Ortega Baptist Church here in Jacksonville. There's a whole Ortega community here.
Wonderful. Well, I'm delighted to hear about the color, about the food, because I also, I've taken also the shift into my nutrition, and it really helps, and I feel fabulous, and it really is awesome to be supported in different ways.
Very cool. So what exciting things are happening in your world? Jeanie got a text from you yesterday saying you had a major breakthrough to share with us.
Well, the Latin support group is doing very well, and we had a beautiful experience last week with one of the attendees. She's an architect, and she had a very difficult experience in her office. So she came to the group, and the week before last week, we all concentrated in working with her and on her issue. And then during the weekend, she called me. I helped her with another worksheet, and then she came back last week telling us that it was so good for her to do the group work and that she was able to see where she was allowing that pattern to repeat.
Right.
And so she spent the whole weekend, she did the worksheets, and then she went through and reorganized her office, the people, the projects she had, and then she figured out a few things, make some changes. And then they were supposed to expel her from the office, and she found out a way where she was making the mistake, and she got the money, and she got everything, all the resources she needed to continue in her office were given to her, appeared, and also she did the Purpose in Life worksheet, the workshop.
Right.
And then part of her office, she rearranged her office, and she has now a place for her to do her sculptures.
Oh, fabulous. Well, that's pretty awesome for a few worksheets, eh?
Yep.
It is amazing just how that works, isn't it?
Amazing. We're doing a group. That Latin group is very well, and it's going to be every Thursday. And then this week I have Thursday the Latin support group, and Friday we have the English support group in Boca Raton, which I already sent the email to Jeanie. And then we are hoping that when you come here, I'm going to have you in both my groups.
Well, we're going to plan on it. And Tuesday night, what night are your groups next week?
Thursday and Friday.
Okay. So Tuesday night, I'm going to be sending out an email inviting everybody in the South Florida area that's interested in support groups to come together and let's coordinate and create a plan to support each other in that process. So set aside
Wonderful.
Tuesday night.
Yes.
Very
nice.
Fabulous.
Yeah,
all right. Well, anything else exciting to share?
Well, continue doing your work and support yourself with the worksheets, with the DVDs. The nutrition is so important. And then let's communicate like we're doing with your fabulous show. I'm very happy to be part of this.
Well, we're delighted that you are part of it, delighted that the work is taking off in the Latin community there. It's awesome. We certainly want to support that 100%, and let's just see it rolling forward.
Yes.
All right. Very cool.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
All right. Blessings. Take care.
Amen.
Bye-bye. So, Jeanie, do we have any other callers or anything happening in the chat room?
No, nothing else is going on there. However, I did get an email, and since I haven't talked to them yet to see if it's okay, I'll just keep it anonymous. But they said that they've been attending the seminars that you're doing this week, and that they have already, that, it's explaining a whole lot of things, especially about using scientific evidence and recognizing and removing pain and sickness and suffering from our being, and that he's already uncovered patterns in his life that he used to generate fear of living, and the thoughts in the process that uncover those patterns invite healing. And so he's inviting people to come and be part of the workshop, that it's giving him I'm trying to speed read and not read the whole thing, about what it means to be alive and how to share that life with others and to become a conduit to resonate love that we all have to pour out into the souls thirsting for the connection.
Oh, very cool. That's fabulous. Well, as you were reading that, you triggered the memory of a fellow that we had up in Chicago. Our last trip to Chicago, we had a fellow there for the Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing workshop, and he had a really powerful and interesting experience. As a child and throughout his life, he'd had asthma. This man's in his 50s, had asthma. And what he got in touch with, he's been doing this work for several years, but what came up in this particular breath session was that as a child, his parents were pretty violent with each other. They'd be fighting all the time. And the only way he could get them to stop fighting, the only way he had any power in his home, was to have an asthma attack. And all of a sudden, when he would have an asthma attack, his parents would stop fighting, they'd focus on him and take him to the hospital. But the interesting thing was, the conclusion that he got in touch with having made and that he needed to change was the conclusion that it was bad to breathe, that holding his breath was good, because that asthma attack is what kept his parents from fighting and gave him some measure of control and safety in his life. And so the crazy things that we can make up as kids, there's one of my favorite things is that, from 5 to death is but a breath, from 1 to 5 is a lifetime. And most people set the dynamics for their whole lives in those first few years, and because they're so dissociated from it and because it replays out and looks like a current moment event, most people are in such denial that they can't touch into or change those hidden parts of the mind. So it's awesome when you take that tool and you actually dig deep inside yourself and start looking at those dynamics. Now, be prepared that when those dynamics surface, they can be, or they can seem to be, very painful. It's a good thing to remember that when you're experiencing a memory of pain, you're not experiencing pain, but you're experiencing a memory of pain. And that you can go inside yourself and delete that pain with the forgiveness process. Getting in touch with it is not always Dr. Feelgood. It's not always fun. But, the things that you get to work through and remove from your life and the way your life changes, it's just awesome. So we're here to support you. We're in Jacksonville through Friday night with a series of free workshops at the Unity Center. You can go to our website, whyagain.com, and there's a link for travel workshops. You can also look at our intensive schedule. We'll be starting with Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work Project on the 20th to 12th of July, and then into teacher's training. A 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, and a 9-day teacher training. So we invite you to take the tools, create the best year yet of your eternal life. Let's play the game of healing this planet by healing ourselves. Thanks and blessings. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Mind Shifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.